When destiny brings two broken hearts together, there's a moment in life, a moment where you feel like you've lost it all, your strength, your faith, your reason to hope. Your heart, it's been shattered, scattered like glass on a cold, unforgiving floor. And you tell yourself, I'm done. You whisper into the darkness, no one can understand this pain. But let me tell you something. That moment, that's not the end. That is the beginning. You see, when a heart breaks, it doesn't mean it stops beating. It beats differently. It beats with experience. It beats with truth. It beats with wisdom you couldn't have learned any other way. And maybe, just maybe, while you're picking up those broken pieces, while you're learning to breathe again, there's someone else out there on the other side of this world doing the very same thing. Someone with their own broken pieces, their own silent battles. And destiny, oh destiny, it's working quietly behind the scenes, preparing the day when your paths will cross. Two broken hearts, two souls that thought they'd lost it all. And when they meet, they don't just see each other's scars, they recognize them because they've been there too. And that connection, it's not about fixing each other. No, it's about understanding. It's about looking at someone and saying, I get it. I see you, I feel you, and for the first time in a long time, you realize you're not alone. See, destiny doesn't bring two broken hearts together for nothing. It's not chance, it's not coincidence, it's purpose. You were meant to find one another. You were meant to heal, not through each other, but with each other, side by side, piece by piece. Because together those shattered pieces start to make sense. They form something new, something strong, stronger than it ever was before. You see, love, real love, isn't perfect. It's not about finding someone who's flawless. It's about finding someone who's been broken and is still brave enough to love again. When destiny brings two broken hearts together, it's not to remind them of their pain, it's to show them their strength, their resilience, and their ability to rise. So if you're sitting there feeling like you've got nothing left to give, like no one could ever understand, hold on, keep walking, because destiny isn't done yet. And when you least expect it, someone will come along and they'll look at you with eyes that say, me too. And that, my friend, that's when healing begins. Not because they save you, but because they stand with you. And together, two broken hearts can build something unbreakable. Destiny has a plan beyond our imagination. Most of us go through life trying to map out every step, every decision, every relationship, every outcome. We make plans, we set goals, and we chase dreams that we believe are meant for us. We think we're in control, steering the ship, calling the shots. But there comes a time when life reminds us, gently for some, painfully for others, that no matter how carefully we craft our vision of the future, there's a bigger plan at work, a plan we can't always see, but one that's always in motion. There are moments when things fall apart so violently, so suddenly, that it leaves us gasping for air. The job you thought was secure vanishes. The person you thought would always stay chooses to leave. The future you imagined for yourself gets ripped away in the blink of an eye. In those moments, it's hard to believe in anything beyond the pain. It's hard to trust in something as abstract as destiny. It feels like betrayal. It feels like abandonment. But that's not the end of the story, not even close. What we don't see in those moments is that destiny is moving pieces behind the curtain. Pieces that don't make sense now, but someday they will. Sometimes we hold on to something because it feels safe, familiar, or even necessary, not realizing that letting go is the only way we'll ever move forward. Destiny doesn't always offer explanations when things fall apart. It doesn't tap us on the shoulder and say, "Don't worry, I've got something better coming." No. It tests our patience. It tests our faith. It challenges us to believe in something we can't yet see. There's a reason why certain people come into your life and why some leave. There's a reason why some doors slam shut right when you were about to walk through them. And there's a reason why, after everything feels broken and lost, something or someone comes along that changes everything. It's not chance, it's not luck, it's destiny. It's a plan beyond what you could ever write for yourself. Think about the times you've met someone at just the right moment, a conversation with a stranger who said exactly what you needed to hear, an opportunity that appeared when you were about to give up, a person who walked into your life, saw you for who you really are, and stood by you in a way no one else ever did. These are not accidents. They are orchestrated moments designed to move you closer to where you're supposed to be. You didn't see them coming. You couldn't have planned them, but they came because destiny had its own timeline. Destiny doesn't care about your schedule. It doesn't follow your deadlines. It doesn't operate on your timeline of when you think you should have succeeded, healed, or found love. It has its own rhythm. And sometimes that rhythm feels frustrating. You wonder why things take so long. You question why others seem to move ahead while you're stuck in place. But what you don't see is that every moment you think is wasted is preparation. Every delay is protection. Every unanswered prayer is an answer in disguise. There are lessons you need to learn before you can handle the blessings that are coming. There are experiences you need to walk through so that when destiny opens the next door, you're ready. Because destiny doesn't just hand things to you, it prepares you for them. It shapes you, molds you, tests you, and sometimes it breaks you. Not to destroy you, but to rebuild you stronger. It's in those broken moments that we grow in ways we never imagined. We learn patience when we have no choice but to wait. We learn strength when we have no option but to stand. We learn faith when the only thing we can do is believe in something we can't see. Destiny uses every single moment, every heartbreak, every disappointment to write a story far greater than the one we were trying to write for ourselves. There's a time in your life when you'll look back and realize why things didn't work out the way you wanted. You'll see why certain people had to leave, why some dreams had to die, why you had to take a different path. You'll see the connections, the timing, the plan that was there all along. And you'll realize you were never forgotten. You were never alone. You were simply being guided towards something greater. Destiny brings people together at the exact moment they need each other. Two broken hearts, miles apart, can be walking through their own pain, thinking they'll never be whole again. And yet, destiny is moving them toward each other, step by step, moment by moment, shaping them into the people they need to become before they can meet. Because when they finally do, they'll recognize each other, not just by sight, but by soul. They'll know they've been through the fire and came out stronger, and they'll be ready to build something unbreakable. So while you may not understand what's happening right now, while you may feel lost or stuck or forgotten, trust this. Destiny has a plan, and it's bigger, bolder, and more beautiful than anything you've ever imagined. You just have to keep moving forward. Keep trusting, keep believing, because one day it's all going to make sense. Healing happens in unexpected places. Most of us search for healing in the places we think we're supposed to find it, in familiar comforts, in people we've known for years, in the routines that once made us feel safe. We try to piece ourselves back together in the places where we first broke, hoping if we return there, we can fix what was lost. But more often than not, healing doesn't come from where we expect. It doesn't arrive in the arms we thought would hold us. It doesn't spring from the places that once brought us joy. It sneaks up on us in moments we didn't plan for, in places we never thought to look. There's something about pain that makes us believe we have to stay small. We sit in dark rooms replaying every moment that hurt us, waiting for time to make it right. We hold on to the past, thinking if we can just understand why it all went wrong, the answers will heal us. But healing isn't logical. It isn't something you can force or figure out. It's something that happens when you least expect it, when you stop chasing it and start living again, even if you're carrying your wounds along the way. Sometimes healing shows up in the quiet company of a stranger who says something that strikes deep, reminding you that you're not alone in your struggle. It shows up in a song playing on the radio at the exact moment you need to hear the words. It can come in a late-night conversation with someone you barely know, but somehow they say exactly what your heart has been waiting to hear, and just like that, you feel something shift. A weight you didn't realize you were carrying feels lighter. Your heart aches a little less. You breathe a little easier. Healing begins. Other times, healing happens in places that once seemed meaningless. You might take a different route home one day just because. You pass by a park and without thinking, you stop. You sit on a bench, feeling the breeze on your face, and for the first time in a long time, you feel present. You're not trapped in yesterday or worried about tomorrow. You're here. And in that stillness, something in you starts to settle. You didn't go looking for that peace. You weren't expecting it, but it found you. There's a certain grace in the unexpected. When you stop trying to control the process, life has a way of leading you exactly where you need to be. Healing often happens when you're focused on something else entirely. Helping a friend through their own hard season, chasing a new dream you never thought you'd have the courage to pursue, trying something new just because it makes you laugh. It happens when you're not even thinking about yourself, when you're simply allowing life to flow moment by moment. Some people find healing on a long walk with no destination. Others find it in a crowded cafe where they sit alone, but somehow feel connected to the world again. For some, it's the moment they step onto a stage and speak their truth out loud for the first time, no matter how much their voice shakes. Healing doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as a deep breath, a soft sunrise, or the smell of rain on concrete. Small moments, ordinary things, but they carry the power to remind us that life isn't over, that there's still beauty, that there's still hope. And sometimes healing happens when you are with someone who sees you in your brokenness and doesn't flinch. Someone who doesn't try to fix you but simply stays. A person who listens when you need to talk or sits in silence when there are no words. Someone who shows up not because they have all the answers, but because they care enough to stand beside you in the storm. You may not have expected them, you may not have been looking, but their presence becomes a shelter. Their kindness becomes a balm, and slowly, piece by piece, you begin to heal. Healing doesn't always look like joy right away. Sometimes it's just the absence of unbearable pain. Sometimes it's the simple fact that you made it through the day without breaking down. Sometimes it's standing in front of a mirror and not feeling numb when you look at yourself. It's these small, unexpected victories that build the road back to wholeness. The truth is, the places where we think we'll heal are not always the places where we do. You can return to familiar ground, hoping for comfort, and find only emptiness. But then you step into something new, something unfamiliar, and without warning, you feel alive again. Healing doesn't follow a map. It has its own way of finding us when we need it most. Sometimes you find it on a mountaintop. Sometimes you find it sitting on your living room floor at 2 a.m., tears drying on your cheeks as you realize you're going to be okay. You didn't expect to feel strong again, but here you are, breathing, moving, hoping, healing. It happens in the quiet, in the unexpected, and most of the time, you won't even realize it's happening until one day you look back and see how far you've come. You'll realize you're smiling without thinking about it, laughing without forcing it, loving without fear, and that's when you'll know Healing found you right when you needed it, in the place you least expected. Love isn't about perfection, it's about understanding. Somewhere along the way, we were sold an idea that love had to be flawless, that it was supposed to be easy, seamless, without conflict or pain. We were told that love meant finding someone who checked all the boxes, said all the right things, did everything we dreamed of without ever needing to explain ourselves. We learned to search for perfection, to chase an ideal version of love that was free from cracks or flaws. But real love doesn't live in a perfect story. It lives in the messy places, the complicated moments, and the imperfect spaces where two people make the choice to stay, to listen, and to understand each other. No one walks into your life without their own baggage. Everyone carries something. Pain from the past, insecurities that whisper in quiet moments, scars that haven't fully healed. Real love isn't about pretending those things don't exist. It's about acknowledging them, respecting them, and choosing to stand beside someone anyway. It's about looking at a person and saying, I see it all. I see the broken pieces and the beauty, and I'm not going anywhere. Understanding is what makes love strong. It's what allows two people to build something that lasts, because perfection isn't sustainable. Sooner or later, the facade cracks. The masks come off. The things we tried to hide eventually surface. And when they do, it's not perfection that holds a relationship together. It's grace. It's the willingness to sit in the uncomfortable, to have the hard conversations, and to listen when it's easier to walk away. It's saying, help me understand where you're coming from, even when you're hurt, even when your pride is bruised. Love thrives in understanding because it makes space for people to be human. It says, you don't have to be perfect here, you just have to be honest. And honesty requires safety. It requires knowing that when you show someone the truth of who you are, they won't run. They won't weaponize your weaknesses or hold your flaws against you. They'll sit with you in your vulnerability and offer you understanding instead of judgment. Perfection demands that people meet an impossible standard. Understanding allows people to show up as they are, and when people are free to be themselves, real intimacy begins. You stop performing, you stop hiding, you let someone see the parts of you you've always been afraid to share. And in that moment, when they stay, when they choose to love you anyway, something powerful happens. You start to heal, not because someone fixed you, but because they understood you. Love is built in moments when we try to understand each other, not just when we agree. It's in the late night talks when you're both tired, but you keep listening because you know it matters. It's in the small gestures that say, I get you, even when words fall short. It's in knowing that sometimes silence isn't distance. It's someone trying to process their own storm, and you give them space, not because you're being pushed away, but because you understand that love doesn't always need to fix. Sometimes it just needs to be patient. Understanding makes room for forgiveness. It reminds us that we all make mistakes, say the wrong things, and fall short. But when you understand where someone is coming from, you can offer compassion. You can see their intention even when their words fail. You can choose to believe the best in them because you've taken the time to know their heart. There's strength in loving someone through their imperfections. It takes courage to stay when things get hard, to love when it's not convenient, and it takes even more courage to allow yourself to be loved when you feel unworthy. But that's what understanding does. It creates a safe place where love doesn't have to be earned by being perfect. It's given freely because of who you are, not because of what you've done. Understanding says, I may not feel what you're feeling, but I want to try. I want to know your fears, your hopes, and your dreams. I want to stand with you when you're strong and when you're falling apart. And when two people are committed to understanding each other, there's a deep connection that can't be broken by circumstance because it's not based on surface-level perfection. It's rooted in empathy, trust, and respect. Real love isn't about finding someone who never makes mistakes. It's about finding someone who, when they do make mistakes, takes responsibility, learns, and grows. And it's about being that person yourself. Love, grounded in understanding, sees beyond the temporary and focuses on the journey. Two people are walking together. It knows there will be days when everything feels easy and days when everything feels hard. But it holds on through both because the connection is deeper than the momentary struggles. Understanding turns conflict into opportunity. Instead of fighting to win, you fight to understand. You listen not just to reply, but to really hear. You stop trying to prove your point and start trying to find common ground. And when you do, love deepens. It becomes less about being right and more about being connected. At its core, love is about two imperfect people choosing to understand each other every single day. It's not about finding someone flawless. It's about finding someone whose flaws you can accept, whose pain you can hold space for, and whose heart you can honor with your own. It's about building something real, something lasting, and something beautiful out of two lives that were never perfect, but are perfect for each other in understanding. Together, broken pieces can build something unbreakable. Life has a way of shattering us. Sometimes it happens in one devastating blow. Other times it's a slow erosion, piece by piece, moment by moment. Disappointments pile up, betrayals cut deep, and dreams we once held close fall apart in our hand. We look at the fragments of who we used to be and wonder if we'll ever feel whole again. We think our brokenness disqualifies us from happiness, from love, from building something meaningful. But the truth is, broken pieces aren't the end of the story. They are the raw materials for something even stronger than before. When you've been broken, you know what it's like to hurt. You understand what it means to lose faith, to question your worth, to feel like you'll never be enough. But in that breaking, something powerful happens. You gain empathy. You learn how to see other people who are hurting. You develop a strength you didn't ask for, but now that you have it, you realize it's a gift. And when two people who have walked through their own fires come together, they don't just connect on the surface. They connect in the deep places. They see each other fully, scars and all, and they say, "Me too. I've been there. I get it." Two people who have been broken bring with them pieces shaped by experience. They've had their edges sharpened by life. But when they choose to come together, when they decide to fit their pieces alongside someone else's, something amazing can happen. Those sharp edges can interlock, not to wound, but to create something strong, something that can't be easily torn apart. Because these are people who have known loss, they've known pain, and they've chosen to keep going anyway. They've chosen to hope again, to love again, even when it would have been easier to stay closed off. It's not about being perfect before you find someone. It's about bringing your broken pieces to the table and being willing to build something together. Real connection happens when you stop pretending to be whole and let someone see where you've been broken. And if they show you their brokenness in return, what you're building together becomes sacred. It's not fragile, it's not fake, it's real, it's raw. And because of that, it's unbreakable. When people come together after being broken, they tend to appreciate the small things more. They don't take kindness for granted. They don't overlook patience, understanding, or grace. They've known what it feels like to go without those things. So when they find someone who offers them, they hold on with gratitude. They don't expect perfection. They just want honesty. They want effort. They want someone who will stand beside them even on the days when they're still piecing themselves back together. And when you find someone who meets you in your brokenness and loves you there, it's a different kind of love. It's not shallow. It's not dependent on everything being easy or smooth. It's rooted in mutual respect, in the understanding that you've both been through enough to know what matters, and what matters is showing up. What matters is choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Together, those broken pieces form something new, something neither person could have created on their own. They build trust, piece by piece. They build safety, brick by brick. And over time, they create a bond that's not based on illusion, but on truth. They know each other's stories, and they love each other not in spite of them, but because of them. Because those stories shaped who they are, and who they are now is someone capable of loving deeply, fiercely, and without pretense. When broken people come together and choose to build, they create something resilient. Something that doesn't fall apart at the first sign of trouble. Because they've both already been through storms. They know how to weather them. They've learned patience from waiting for their own healing. They've learned grace from giving it to themselves. And now they extend that same grace to each other. That's how something unbreakable is made. Not from never having been broken, but from learning how to stand strong because of it. There's a beauty in broken things made new, like stained glass, where each shattered piece finds a new place in a larger design, or a mosaic, where the cracks are not hidden, but celebrated as part of the story. Together, two people can take their broken pieces and create something that doesn't try to erase the past, but honors it, something that reflects where they've been and who they've become. And in that creation, there's strength, there's light, there's hope. What's built between two people who understand brokenness is a love that's not afraid of the hard days. It's a love that can hold space for sadness without crumbling. A love that knows healing isn't linear, and that some days will feel harder than others, but they stay, they support, they build anyway. And in that consistency, in that unwavering choice to show up, they create something powerful. Together, broken pieces don't have to stay broken. They can become part of something lasting, something unshakable, something that stands not in spite of the past, but because of it. Two people who have been broken, who choose to heal together, can build a love that bends but doesn't break. A love that holds firm no matter what comes, and that love, built from broken pieces, is unbreakable.